culture is way different. It's like a 180. They think different than we do. Like the way they process things is way different than what like Americans process things, I believe. And like just that was a big deal for me because that was my trainer was a native. Fantastic. At first it was a little difficult for me because of how different the culture was. Like I would do little things that I had no idea were bad, like shaking a leg. Doing this, Americans do this all the time, right? They always do this, like shaking their leg, and like that was bad. And I was like, what? I was like, why? And like, or rain, like when it rains, I would flip my umbrella around, and like that was really bad, I guess, really bad. And I was like, okay, and just like this is a funny story, but like I'll get to that in a second. But just the culture. It's very traditional, of course. Hong Kong, it's a little different from the rest of China. I've never been to like the rest of China, but it's more modern, or I guess more westernized, I guess. And because Britain used to be a colony of Britain, and then it turned back in 1997, I think. It switched back to being under Chinese rule. So like it's the history behind that is it's gonna take about 50 years for all of China, the ruling of China, to be taken over again, so like to completely become China. That was the agreement made. So right now it's still like kind of British law. They have the #1 free market economy in the world. So it's a thriving place. Hong Kong's full of billionaires. Just like I would be on the street and it's rare not to see like a Ferrari, Maserati, Lamborghini, like Rolls Royce. Just like you'd see those like every second, everywhere you looked. I lived in an area where I had a Bugatti dealership right next to me. Lamborghini just like within a mile radius or even less. Lamborghini, Bugatti, Ferrari, Rolls Royce, McLaren, F1, the Mercedes dealerships, just like all of them, and Maserati. Within just an area, and like in Hong Kong, the tax is 100% tax on cars. So like these people were paying double than what they should be on cars, and they're everywhere. And so like it made me realize this place is a metropolis. It's just full of rich people. So like that was kind of intimidating a little bit, kind of, but not really. I liked it. I thought it was really cool. Transportation there in general is just really awesome. I think it's like one of the best in the world, from my understanding. I think like I can't remember the percentage, like 90% of people or something like that use the transportation. Because you wait at a bus stop and you have to wait like 10 minutes for your bus. There it's like a minute. Like the buses are the same bus, like same route, just they're coming and they're always packed too. Like you foul up, it's like 200 and some people on that bus. Again, just always back and forth. And they have these guys. Yeah, those are the double-decker buses. So that was cool. I thought that was awesome. I was like, yes, I could be on double-decker buses and like stuff like that. And like, it was kind of nervy, like talking to people on the bus at first. And I was like sitting next to him, and I was like, didn't know how to speak any Chinese. I was like, lei ho. It's like hello. I'm like, I am a missionary. It's like it was really it was kind of nerve-wracking, but they have that. The train system there is called the MTR, and it goes all over Hong Kong. And like it's fantastic because it's really nice and like it's quick. It's like it seems quick even though it might not be that quick, but because Hong Kong's so small, but it gets you everywhere. And it's awesome. Then they got these things called Suba, which are like mini buses, but they're super fast, and the guys are crazy drivers. Like they go as fast as they go really fast. It's like take corners, like you're on the mountain and they're still just like you're next to a cliff and they're just still like just going as fast as they can. And you're just like and like so like those are pretty cool. And then obviously they have taxis, but the transportation system there is perfect. Like you don't need a car. I don't know why those rich people get cars. Like they're spending so much more already on cars, but like it's fantastic transportation there.
Have you ever been to like New York City? It kind of feels like that. It's just subway systems, buses, a lot of taxis. I equate it to, I used to live in Tokyo, and so I can remember being on those streets. And Hong Kong specifically, they have double-decker buses that go almost everywhere. And so it kind of looks like London, if you've seen like those big red buses that they have like in Harry Potter. And so these buses are just always jam-packed with people. And it's so much fun because you just beep in with your card, you go to the back or you go up top, and it's just like this awesome view of the entire city. And you get that the entire ride. Just big windows all down the side. Certainly the subway is always super busy. I can remember rush hour, trying to get out to my areas or trying to get back for an appointment, and it's just like sardines. There's people stacked on top of each other, and it's like a really interesting atmosphere. It's real fun, just because everyone's so busy. They're working or they're with family or friends, and so it's a real fun atmosphere to contact people in, because you have every walk of life. You have the old people who are out buying groceries together. You have the young people who are going to go play on the computers. It seems like, to me, most people there, depending on where I lived or where I was serving, constitute a little bit what their profession was. There are a few areas that I lived in that were further out away from the city, and so you had some plots out there, and you had some farmers, they had gardens, they might have a little standalone shack or home that they're living in. And then some of the other areas that I was serving in, that was just sky rises. Just 40 stories, 45 stories tall, just thousands of people in these buildings. And for the most part, I think they live and work pretty close to home. And so, like, they would be working in finance or bankers, or a few people might be working in street markets. Just kind of depends. But just a lot of fun atmosphere. You got the executive, corporate executive, and then you got the people who are like retired, just playing chess out in the parks. So life was a lot of fun in Hong Kong. Summertime was humid, like super humid, almost 100%. It would be 90, 100 degrees, sometimes more than that. So you sweat your guts out, but drink a lot of water. I always had like 2 or 3 bottles of water every day. Winter time doesn't get too cold. It's only like 45 degrees, but just the humidity is such a chill factor that you'll get cold real fast. But it's only cold for like 2 weeks, and then you want to be in short sleeves again. As a missionary, our life is kind of interesting, because unlike other missions in the church, we get up and half an hour later, and we go to bed half an hour later. So we were getting up at 7 and we were going to bed at 11 instead of 6:30 and 10:30. And so you can kind of feel like there's a bit of a nightlife there. Like when you're coming home at night, it's like 9:30 or so, and everyone's just out on the streets. They're having their dinner. Dinner's really late. Typically it's like 8:30 or 9 is when they're eating for the most part. But honestly, they're eating at all hours of the day. You can always find people eating. You can just go up to them in the parks. It's pretty, I wouldn't say it's like pressure atmosphere, but certainly the students are very busy every day. The missionaries, we stayed busy talking to people. There's never a dull moment. People working there, working 12 to 16 to 18 hours a day, so their lives are very structured. It's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to eat, I'm going to go to bed. And if you're lucky, you get some investigators that between eating and bed, they'll make time for you. You can come over and teach a lesson or just follow up, give them a call, see how things are going. But I think they're busy people, but they're very friendly, and they want to help you. And so I really enjoyed Hong Kong for that. Like if I was lost, I never felt like it would be hard to get directions. I could just go up to somebody and say, hey, do you know how to get to this address? Or, hey, do you mind if I stop you for a moment, and where's the nearest grocery store? Just small things. They're always really willing to help. And so they're very courteous people.
Hong Kong is not like a third world country, so you have pretty much the same comforts that you would have here, with the exception of dishwashers. They don't have those, and ovens. They don't have those either. So except for at the church, they do, because obviously the church is bringing America over. But Yeah, no dishwashers, no ovens. What else? So the houses are very small, obviously, because Hong Kong is really compact. Like, there's not a lot of space. So when you are a missionary, you'll live in an apartment with at least another companionship, maybe 2, maybe 3. So you'll get bunk beds and you get to fight over the bathroom. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's really fun. And one of the reasons I love serving in Hong Kong is because everyone is so close to each other. You don't have to travel very far to find people. You go outside, you can talk to people on the bus, on the sidewalk, on the subway. Public transportation is definitely where you do most of your contacting and most of your finding. That being said, like, it's really easy to be afraid to talk to people because they're everywhere. And it's easier to just like get in your own little bubble and be like, okay, we're just going to the church. I don't need to talk to anyone. But I can't tell you how many investigators I found because I was talking to people along the way. And Preaching My Gospel will tell you about that. Like, talk about like you need to have your line in the water all the time. Otherwise, you're not going to catch any fish. So, yeah. Missionary life is definitely like that. Always be aware of your surroundings. Say hi to everyone. And I promise when you come back, it'll be hard for you not to just say hi to everyone as you're walking by on campus, or like other people might think you're weird, but that's a skill you develop in Hong Kong, to be super friendly. As far as other living things go, yeah, their water system is, you definitely need a filter. You can't drink straight out of the tap. You have to flip a switch to turn on the water heater before you shower, or you will be freezing. It's definitely really hot in the summer, and it's like a cold wet in the winter. So the humidity makes it feel a lot colder than it actually is. But yeah, so those things are important. And then I feel like it's cool to be really close to everyone that you serve with, just because the mission is so small. So you end up making a lot of really good friends that weren't necessarily your companion. But that's one of the things that I've loved the most about Hong Kong, is that everyone's so tight-knit.